Hello, 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 beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of the USL Show. We are back with another season preview, the final season preview before we get started with the season this Friday as Tormenta and Richmond kick us off down in Statesboro, Georgia. It is such an exciting episode, and because of that, we are going to essentially hop straight into things. So, first off, Eamon Zayed, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a an odd couple of months. I've kind of in a place where I'm trying to enjoy the time where I'd usually be obviously on the pitch in preseason. Even before that, I would have been ringing players, ringing agents, doing all that kind of stuff from November, December. So yeah, it's a weird one. I miss it. I do miss it. I have to say. I do miss it. The feel of being on the pitch with the players and getting ready for a season. I'm okay. I definitely miss it. And now that we're leading obviously into kickoff this week, it's just it's kind of my my eagerness to just get back at it, get back into USL is kind of still there.
Absolutely. Alex, it is good to see you again. Hope you are well. How's everything?
Yeah, can't complain. Just a few more days till the season starts.
And John, those backheeled articles have been dropping like crazy. They have been an absolute blast to read. Everybody should be reading those.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a lot of work ahead with the season, but yeah, excited to have it all back.
Well, before we get into the season, and into this episode, we are proud to announce that we are being sponsored by Equipped Studios. Do you want a custom kit designed for your team or supporters group by someone who has been trusted by clubs in the USLW League and USL League 2? Equipped Studios offers more customization than the other big brands for legit a fraction of the cost. Their mission is simple: make professional quality uniforms accessible to all types of players, teams, supporters, no matter the level of play. If you didn't love the kit that your team came out with, hey, take matters into your own hand. Seriously, for super cheap, you can have a fully customized kit made by Austin, who's been a guest on Kit Season. And they have sizes super small to 6XL for, every single size that you need along the way. If you have a Sunday League team, again, it is so cheap, and you're going to
Kaylor, you have muted yourself in the middle of the ad read. That's good stuff.
Oh no!
Oh boy!
All together.
Wow. I'm sure Equipped is going to love that. Yeah.
Equip's absolutely going to love that. I have no idea how that happened. I'm going to blame the severe weather. I don't know where I was, but I'm just telling you, your Sunday League team may not be very good, but you're going to look amazing because you can get these kits for only $40 unless you use our code with USL Show, when you can get it for $35, fully customized kit. And these are good looking kits. I have one here made by Equipped. I mean, this is nice stuff. This is being played in the UPSL. This is awesome. And it feels great. It feels like every kind of kit that you would wear, that you would see. It is wonderful stuff. You should go check them out. $35 if you tell them the USL Show sent you. And after that absolute shambolic introduction of a sponsorship, let's go ahead and get into something that will not be shambolic, which is the USL League One season. So we are here, and we are going to have the top of our table go to the absolute bottom of the table. And we are going to start off with Union Omaha. And then in second place, we have Westchester. Third place, we have Spokane Velocity. In fourth place, we have Greenville Triumph. In fifth, we have Warren Madison, One Knox, South Georgia Tormenta, and AV Alta. In ninth, going all the way down to 14th, we have Portland, Hearts of Pine, Richmond Kickers, FC Naples, Charlotte Independence, Texoma FC, and Chattanooga Red Wolves. That is our top to bottom. Our order. We are going to start with the fans ranking and our personal ranking. At number one, your defending champions, Union Omaha. Alex, who did they gain? Who did they lose?
Union Omaha, they lost very significantly. Pedro Dolabella and Steven Dos Santos, their top scorers. but they have brought in some fairly worthy replacements. They brought in Brent Common and to play center back. He'll be replacing Luca Mastrantonio, who moved on to AV Alta. Common has significant MLS experience. He's from Omaha, so that should be I think that should be a good addition for the team and the fans. They brought in Mahidi Orami from Chattanooga FC, who scored pull up my thing again.
I think it was 12 goals, but that's just off the dome.
Yes, scored 12 goals for Chattanooga FC last season. So he's definitely one of the big players to watch for Omaha. They retained significantly Lagos Kunga, Gomez, Ostrom, Max Schneider, Joe Gallardo. That's a huge one. He's one of the best midfielders in the league. It was along with Blake Malone, Marco Milanese, and Rashid Nuhu in goal.
Eamon, we're going to go ahead and start with you. This is a team that has been consistent since day one. Yeah. They continue to be just amazing. Even 2 years ago, when they were off to the worst start in club history, they go on to win the Players' Shield because that's what they do. But they've lost amazing players like Dolabella, like we mentioned, other players as well. Do you think that they are still the cream of the crop when it comes to League One?
So there's a couple of things when I look at that, right? So yes, they are. They for me, they've been the best team in USL League One, hands down over the last 3-4 years since whenever it was 2020 when they joined in the league. Obviously Greenville have kind of given them a run for the money in terms of that regard, but I still think Omaha are the number one team. It's just in their DNA to win. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Between the coach, the owner, general manager, whoever it is that helps put all this team together. But it's just in their DNA to win. Obviously, they were excellent over the last couple of years. They really were. I do think, maybe statistically, John will step in maybe and say last season's championship regular season win was better than the year before. But I do think their 2023 squad, I do feel, was stronger. When we played against them in 2023, I do think it was a tougher. Look, they were excellent last year. Don't get me wrong; they're the champions. But I just felt the 2023 squad, they lost a couple of players that were massive for them. JP Scarce was one that kind of comes to mind, and Connor Doyle in the midfield. Look, last year they were phenomenal. I know you have them there at number one. I think for me they're going to be top three. I think Dom is the best coach in USL League One. As of now, I think there's some excellent coaches in USL League One, but Dom has proved that he's been the best coach for the last couple of years. I think the loss of Dolabella, when I look at them last season and coming into this season, I think Dolabella was, he was excellent. He was one of their main players. He was an absolute pest to play against when we played against him. He came up big, so many moments, so many games. I don't know, John, again, statistically, how many points did Dolabella single-handedly score in terms of game winners or games that were tied. I don't know. Last season, I remember there was a point they started off maybe not so strong. Well, I know they won their first couple of games, but I remember when Dos Santos came back into the team. Now, I know he got injured towards the end of the season, but when he came back in, again, they almost looked like they played like a different level at times when Dos Santos was playing, and they had Dolabella as well. I think those two are going to be massive misses, and I don't know how they're going to replace them. I look at, maybe playing second fiddle, if you like, to Dolabella and Dos Santos in terms of Zico Lewis. Rodriguez came in and he had a really good month, 2 months, I think May, June, or maybe it was April, May, I can't remember. I know we got 2 against us in the Jaegermeister Cup when we played against them, but Rodriguez came in you know, and Zico Lewis came in and had big moments as well. I just kind of look at them up top and I think, I don't know, like, you know, Kunga's obviously, he's probably being the best, and he's going to probably hate this if he's listening to it, but the best super sub, if you like, you know, definitely the last year. Now, look, he started games and been really good as well. I don't think Gomez is an out-and-out goal scorer. I think he's a good player. He's going to score goals. He's going to create assists. I just don't think he's that goal scorer. So, you know, you look at the players that they brought in, can they step up? I guess we'll see. But I'm looking at their squad, the midfield, Knapp, Schneider. I think they're going to be a top 3 team for sure. You know, they just have that winning DNA, and especially with Dom as their coach. I don't have them as an out and out front runner this year. I don't. I just think the players that I just mentioned, I just think they're too big of a miss. And I don't know how they're going to replace them. And I don't see a replacement. When I'm just looking at that right now, I don't see replacements there.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there. But it's that those are 2 big shoes to fill.
Alex, we know that there is a big signing on the way for you, or at least I think it's a big signing on the way for Union Omaha, and that should be released sometime soon. But there are big shoes to fill here. And, you know, I think for me, what I am looking at is, and his name scares me, Mastrotonio.
You got it. You got it.
If it's a long name, freaks me out. And, you know, like when you look at the base of that center back trio, I mean, you trust Nuhu to save anything that ends up to him, but Mastrotonio was amazing. Do we have worries in the back line too?
I think this back line, you know, Common, he's 35, 34, 35. You know, if he's healthy to play, like, you know, he's going to I think he'll be a big impact. And I think I have faith in Blake Malone and Marco Milanese to keep a good back line there. As far as depth, you've got Josh Ramsey and Anderson Holt, 2 much younger players. So I don't know much about, you know, if they're able to step up in there. Anybody else know much about them?
I talked to Dom at one point for a piece last season, and he couldn't have had more positive things to say about Holt in particular. Really thinks he's up to it physically, so wouldn't be surprised to see him in the minutes this season.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. So I do agree. Master Antonio, I think, was a massive player for them last year. I really do think he was a big player for them. I do think they're going to miss him. But then you can make the valid point that Kalman is a step up. He's had a fantastic career, and I'm sure he's not coming to just, you know, play it out. I'm sure he's coming to win and do well for Omaha. So, I mean, I guess that's a really good replacement. But no, again, I wouldn't personally. Again, if I'm looking at this team and I'm coaching against this team, you know, they're solid at the back. Blake Malone, I thought was, you know, if he can keep that consistency at times, I think he's excellent. Has all the attributes to be a top player. Nuhu, look, one of the best goalkeepers, absolutely. I just look at Schneider. I do think Max Schneider is excellent. You know, to get him, you know, for the whole season, I think is excellent. I don't know, like in terms of that midfield depth, I do think, I don't know, Kayla, you said they might have a big signing coming along. I did hear a player that might be going there that can definitely slot into the midfield.
I think we're talking about different names here because they've got 2 big signings on the way. But
well, one that I'm familiar with, that I feel I was told that he's going there, and I think for me, I think he's excellent. I think he would absolutely bring that team up if he does go there. Are we, you know, John, Kayla, are you talking about a striker that might be going there?
I've not heard of a striker, but Kayla, you feel free to.
Has played striker, but more of a wider area player.
Okay. See that again, I really do worry about that forward line. I'm looking at it, you know, as I said, Dolabella, DeSantos, absolutely 10 to 15 or more goals. I just don't know who's going to get the goals there. And I think that's where they might struggle the most. I think everywhere else they are going to be solid and up there with the best teams in the league. I just think there's better frontline units in the league with different teams, and I just don't know if that's where they're going to fall down. But again, Umri, I'm going to butcher that name. The past, I looked him up. The past doesn't tell me he's an out-and-out goal scorer, but maybe he comes up trumps and gets that, because if you look at Omaha throughout the years, they've always had strikers that score goals. Yeah. And that for me is the biggest worry, just looking at what they have so far.
John, before we move on to our number 2, you put out some out recently about Kunga, how you think he is the best dribbler in all of the USL. But is that enough to score goals? It's going to create chances, no doubt. But can he turn that into assists or goals to really provide for a Gomez or a Quarry?
I think a lot of it is about the give and take relationship. Like, he was so good because Dos Santos was making the runs to give him space. Dolabella had that gravity coming out of the midfield, or whether he was playing in the half space, that opened up Kunga in that way. Obviously a talented player, somebody who's very good at the self-creation aspects of the game. I worry, given the state of the roster, given everything we've talked about, that maybe it allows defenses to kind of focus in on what makes him so good. But absolutely, and speaking to what Eamon said as well, like the super sub aspect, if that's how you're weaponizing him, I think that's the best way to get Lagus Kunga making an impact when it counts in matches.
Well, unless anybody has any final thoughts, let's go ahead and go on to our number 2 team, who is Westchester. Now, this has been divisive when this came out, because some people are preparing for them to be Lexington 2.0 with all the flashy signs. Can they put them together? Alex, they haven't lost anybody. So do you mind giving us just basically the prepared starting 11 for this team?
Yeah. So JC Obregon up front, he was the runner-up for Golden Boot last year in the league with Charlotte. That was a massive get for them. They have, let's see, I think our lineups are slightly different. Yeah, Jonathan Bolaños. Jonathan Bolaños, that's another big one. He was massive with Richmond, had a very successful last 2 years in Huntsville. Joel Johnson, his reputation precedes him in Charlotte. Let's see, we got the Dutch duo there. I don't know very much about them. It was kind of hard to dig up more on them. Was that Bowman and Guzan? And then was that Connor McGlenn?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. Noah Powder is on the team. Do you have him listed?
I've got him as
right wing.
He's going to play anywhere on the right. We know
he
can basically play wherever you need him.
And his brother is on the team as well. Samurai Powder. Who else do you? Kamar Lawrence. Stephen Payne. Stephen Payne on the right from Madison. That's another big one. And then we're gonna have Dane Jaegermeister in goal on loan from Loudon.
First off, I just want to throw it out there. I love the Jaegermeister loan. I think he is class.
You just love those Loudon goalies, man.
I really do. They're always so good because they were always just being peppered with shots constantly. So, Eamon, this is a team that is loaded with talent, especially when you look at that front three. I mean, you mentioned the Omaha front three. This is what you would love to have, in my opinion. But my question for you is, how hard is it to be the expansion team? Like, how hard is it to build a culture from this, like, day one?
Yeah, look, it's really difficult, and it does take time. I mean, even the success stories of, you look last year, USL Championship with Rhode Island, obviously was a success story. But it took them, I remember at the start of the season, results were, up and down. It took them kind of second half of the season to figure things out. you know. So it does take time. It does take time for the players and the chemistry to gel. Look, obviously the coach Dave Carton, I know him well enough. But again, I know him as Dave when he was an assistant coach. He also done a lot with the academies in Charlotte as well. So stepping from an assistant coach into the head coaching position, it can be easy for some, and some may not. Some may struggle. So that's a question mark, obviously with a brand new franchise as well. But when you put all those players together, you can make an argument that group of players are the best on paper. You could easily, just like you did last year, just like we all did kind of look last year with Lexington, make an argument that on paper that was the strongest team. But again, it doesn't always work like that. You know, you have, I mean, for instance, I'm just looking at this team and looking at what you have up there. Now, I think from what I'm told, Noah Powder is going to be looked at as a left back.
Interesting. Okay.
That's also where I had him.
Yeah, I looked at his brother now, and his brother was sent to me by an agent last year, and I actually spoke to Noah about his brother as a striker. You know, he was a forward player, so that might flip around there. It's funny, I'm looking at that team, and in my 3 years at Northern Colorado, I tried to sign Bolanos, Obregon, and Johnson, and I had no Powder. So look, it is a really strong front three. And just to throw another one into the mix, I know a player that was training with Westchester. He didn't end up signing, but he was training with Westchester. And I asked him after how he got on and what did the team look like. And his opinion, and we're talking about somebody that's been in League One for he knows League One. Let's just say that. He knows USL League One as well as anybody else. His opinion was that they are the strongest team in USL League One. And he thinks that that striker there, I'm assuming it's Blomstein,
yeah. Blomstein, yeah.
He told me, and this player's a forward, by the way, as well. He told me that he thinks he's going to be the Golden Boot this year. If things click for Westchester, he's going to be the Golden Boot. From what he saw, I think he was there for a week or 2 weeks. Now, again, do they go 4-4-2? Do they throw Obregon into the mix? Look, Obregon's going to get 10, 15. Who knows? He's going to get over 10 goals for sure. If you throw this Danish striker, or sorry, the Netherlands, the Dutch striker into the mix, and he gets a lot of goals. Look, Jonathan Bolanos, I mean, he was one of the best wingers, if not the best winger, before he left USL League One from Richmond to go to Huntsville. So it's really strong in that front area. But again, from my conversations with this same guy and looking at the team, his worry, and would be my worry looking at it, or if I was coaching against this team, I'd be thinking, right, they're super talented in that forward line. They're going to create havoc. They're going to score goals. They're going to cause damage. How can we navigate that? But looking at that kind of defensive line, I don't know. There's unknowns there. I don't know much about any of. I mean, obviously Stephen Payne, we know. But for me, Stephen Payne's biggest strength is going forward. You know, again, creating stuff. So I would be looking at that team thinking, can we get at them? How strong are they? What will their midfield be like? There's, again, players there that are coming into the league. How will they adapt to it? So there's just too many question marks for me to say Westchester are going to be top three and it's all going to come together. Do I think they're going to make the playoffs? 100%. I really do. I don't. I think the difference between them and Lexington was you have a coach who knows USL League One. Darren Powell obviously knows a lot, USL Championship, MLS Next, but it was his first time in USL League One. Dave Carton knows USL League One. Dave Carton has gone out and he's actually brought in players that have played in USL League One and done really well in USL League One. And I think that's massive. When you bring in just a load of USL Championship players, MLS Next guys, and even players abroad that might be really strong. Again, USL League One is almost like a different animal at times from USL Championship, and I don't know if it works. I don't think it does. But bringing in the likes of a Stephen Payne, Noah Powder, Joel Johnson, Obregon, Bolanos, who's played there. I mean, there's enough there that have played USL League One and know what it's about, and have been successful in USL League One. So this team is this team. I don't think they're going to struggle. I think they'll they'll figure themselves out, and I think they'll be really strong. I don't think they're going to be top 3, top 4. I think they're, for me, you get 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere around that. They'll make playoffs, and then again, once they make playoffs, sure, anything can happen.
Alex, I want to ask you, because I mean, you saw him forever. For my money's worth, Bolaños back into League One is one of the best signings across all of the USL Championship or League One. What does he provide? Because it's been a few years since League One fans have seen and feared this guy.
He's a menace on the wing, he can create chances and convert assists. He's just, I don't know how to explain it other than that.
For me, Alex, I mean, and obviously you know more than me. Well, I mean, I played against him, coached against him. For me, the biggest thing that he brings, and you saw from his first couple of years to his last year before he departed Richmond, was, and I actually looked at him and looked at maybe even bringing him in on loan from Huntsville, but he's effective, man. Goals, assists, like, he is a winger. Yes, he's quick, he's tricky, but he is effective. Like, his goals and his assists, you know, the numbers there are really, really good, really good.
John, I want to ask you, and it's where I'm seeing my personal biggest, not fear, but question mark, and it's at the base of that midfield with McGlynn. We saw what he was in Hartford and then what he was in Rhode Island, which is not much. And was that his fault? Not really. It was a talented roster. But it's not like League One is just a retirement home league. This is a good league. From what you did see from him from his last year in the championship, do you think he can hold up in a even more competitive setting?
Yeah, I mean, I would push back. I really rate McGlynn quite highly. I think he is good on the ball, especially in the context of when he's used in central defense. I think he is pretty solid when he's under the face of pressure. In the defensive midfield, good about setting the tempo. He's somebody that, depending on whether Rishi Tete and Andrew Jean-Baptiste can find their chemistry at the back, you could easily see him slotting into the defensive line and just being the stability guy who knows the USL, who's been experienced as a starter in recent memory. I think Rhode Island and the way that Kano set that team up just because it kind of wasn't set up for McGlynn to succeed. And especially when the midfield 3 really cemented itself so strongly from the get-go. Yeah, he's somebody who I think is fantastic. And if there's a question mark for me, it's not McGlynn. It's kind of everything else that's going on in that back half.
Gotcha. Any final thoughts before we go on to team number 3? All right. Team number 3 is Spokane Velocity. You can't see the rest of their name because they just refuse to put something in the middle that you can actually
see. Or because you chose the logo with the black text, but yeah.
What am I supposed to do? The white text wasn't available on Wikipedia. Listen, I do what I do. Look, this is a team that got hot and made it to the final. Alex, who did they lose? And when I'm looking at this, more importantly, who did they gain?
So this is a team that I would rate as being 100% improved from last year based on the departing players and who they were replaced with. Departing was Elijah Amidin, Josh Doling, Grayson DuPont, Ezreal Gonzalez, Morgan Hackworth, Amit Longmire, Ariel Mumba, Luke Merrill, Rojas, Joe Schmidt, Komarni Smith, and then Brooks Thompson and Peter Swinkles. Inbound. In replacement for these players, we have announced today Siobhan John Brown from Central Valley Fuego. We have Nil Vinyals from Richmond, breaks my heart. And then David Garcia from Northern Colorado and Lucky Opara from Northern Colorado, along with, I can't remember his first name, Nico Brett from Memphis. Marky Hernandez from Northern Colorado. So this is like, Northern Colorado Part 2, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would push back. I really rate McGlynn quite highly. I think he is good on the ball, especially in the context of when he's used in central defense. I think he is somebody that, depending on whether Rishi Tete and Andrew Jean-Baptiste can find their chemistry at the back, you could easily see him slotting into the defensive line and just being the stability guy who knows the USL, who's been experienced as a starter in recent memory. I think Rhode Island and the way that Kano set that team up just kind of everything else that's going on in that back half.
Eamon.
yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
No, go ahead.
Okay, Eamon. This was a team last year that they were really bad at towards the end half, and then they got really, really good. Right? Like they figured it out defensively. My question really, because you see the attacking side, you see Vinyals, you see Lewis, you see Baptiste, who was also announced today, you see Brett, you see Louis Hill. You believe in that. But was the defensive solidity real, or was that just a team getting hot at the right time?
Look, my opinion was and is it was their coach Lee. Look, I have a really good relationship with Lee Weidman. I think he's up there with Dom as 100%. You know, one of the best coaches in USL League One. I spoke to Lee, you know, after our game and going into, you know, the final as well. We spoke, and even after that, he reluctantly, and I say reluctantly because he didn't want to, he changed his tactics. So we had played them twice, I think in the space of around 6 weeks before we actually ended up playing them in the playoff quarterfinal. And it was quite comfortable for us against them in terms of look, they were tight games, but I noticed I think it was the last game we played them right before we got to the playoffs. We beat them 1-0. It was a much tighter affair, but I remember thinking after the game, well, he's changed things up here. He's obviously worked on something here to try and solidify their defense and be hard to beat. And we did. We struggled to break them down. We finally got the goal, but we struggled. And he brought that into the playoffs. They were, especially, you know, us, they were defensively, it was, and I analysed Spokane. We played them 5 times. I must have known them inside out by the time we played them in the playoffs. It was their best defensive performance. And then they might have even bettered it in the semi-final when they played Madison. They were excellent. You know, they didn't give us anything. And you looked at us and I guess Madison as maybe 2 of the best attacking teams last year. And neither of us could break them down in the playoffs. And for me, it was down to the coach and the players buying into the coach and his tactics and what he wanted to do. Now this year, I have no doubt he's definitely probably going to want to go back to express himself as a coach. You know, and not just bunker in and defend like they did kind of in the playoffs. They're going to want to go out and play. And he is a coach that likes to play, be expansive, move the ball through the thirds. When I look at, you know, the teams that have brought in players and strengthened this year in the offseason, I think Spokane are, for me, by far the strongest. I look at their team. They finished 7th last year in the league. I can easily see this team getting into the top 3 and challenging. I mean, you know, Nico Brett. I remember looking at Nico Brett for Birmingham a few years ago. Actually, it was more than a few years ago. You know, when was he there? Was it 2018, 19?
He was there 19 and 20, and then he went to New Mexico in 21, and then 22, 23, he was back in Birmingham.
Yeah, I remember watching him 19-20, the 2019-2020 season, and he was one of my favourite strikers actually to watch in the USL Championship. I thought he was just a goal scorer, good movement, good finisher, and if he can bring anything, you know, anything of his I guess former self last year, he mightn't have obviously, you know, injured and played as much as he wanted to, but if he can rekindle any kind of form, I mean, for me, he would be my bet on. If somebody said to me right now, pick a golden boot, I'd choose him. I just think he has too much quality and he's a natural goal scorer. And I think the way Lee Weidman likes to play, he likes to create a lot. They created a lot of chances last year. So I could see him getting on the end of them. And then you look at, I mean, Vinyals to maybe partner Lewis Gill, at maybe behind the striker. I don't know what they're going to play, but I mean, Vinyals for me, one of the best number 10s in the league, easily top 3 number 10s in the league over the last number of years. So him and Gill together, I mean, they're going to unlock any defense. They really will. I thought the signing today was a top signing, Siobhan Brown. You know, if they decide to play him on the right side, where I pushed up on the right side of the forward line. I mean, he caused us so many issues last year when we played against Fuego. I know Fuego, you know, may not have been the team together as a team and really competed when they would have liked, but he's one of the players that stood out to me. I thought Siobhan Brown was excellent. I mean, he's so quick, and again, if he can tidy up his finishing, he'll get a lot of goals as well. And then for me, obviously, I look at Lucky O'Para. I think, and it's my opinion, look, Waldeck and Martin Gill are two really top USL League One fullbacks. I think Lucky is better than either of them. That's my opinion. I think he's excellent. I'm actually shocked Lucky didn't go to the USL Championship. I think he's excellent. And then David Garcia for us was look, he's just a natural born winner. Knows how to win, knows how to do it. He can mark the top strikers. You look at maybe that team going up against Westchester. Well, David Garcia, he's one of the best defenders at actually marking, saying, hey, look after this guy, make sure he doesn't score. He likes the challenge. It's like he gets excited and motivated by the challenge of playing against top strikers. So I think they've strengthened everywhere. Maybe they would have liked to have brought in somebody to compete against Marancio, because you do look at Brooke Thompson who overtook that position. Again, I think he was a big part in terms of why they ended up so well. So you might look at that, but other than that, I think they're an excellent squad. Excellent squad all over. They're strong, and I think they've one of the best coaches in the league. So I can easily see this team for me, top 3 team for sure.
Also, I think I accidentally said Jean Baptiste earlier instead of John Brown. We just talked about Jean Baptiste, so my brain was just in weird places. Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think you laid it out perfectly. Does anybody have anything they want to add on to this? Because I think you absolutely killed it. Anybody else have anything?
No, I think the point about the style is kind of the big thing here, where Spokane absolutely had to adapt, really get away from that hyper-possessive game, driving through the middle that Lee wanted to integrate early on last year. And clearly it did the job, but he has DNA. He has a philosophy as a coach. You talk about Neil Vigneault in particular, like that's a signing that fits so perfectly with the template of soccer that he wants to integrate in Spokane. I'm thrilled to see the talent they've put together. You have to figure it's one of the higher budgeted teams in the league, just looking at that squad. But yeah, for me, they're the favorite. I think looking at the shape of the league in general, Spokane feels like the strongest, the team with the maybe clearest vision as well.
Yeah, this is the team that got a taste, and they're all in.
Yeah, my only thing tactically there, John, with is for me, again, you go back to the styles, and again, I really do think that Lee Wyman, I know he's from speaking to him again, I know him so well, he has a style that he wants to play, and at times they did it a lot. I remember looking at them last year, first half of the season. At home they played at this kind of style, and it would produce really positive results. But then away from home, they played the exact same style. I look at that team, and the only it's not even a question mark. It's just transitions. Will they get caught in transition? But I do think. I would have harped into Lucky O'Para and David Garcia. I mean, that was one of the things we worked on, non-stop transitions to defend and making sure we stifle them. So again, and they're both quick and clever enough players that I'm sure they can they'll help with that regard. But that's it. The transitions to defend with that team. But yeah, they're so well coached and they've such a good team all over. I mean, you can't not look at this team and say they're going to really challenge, to be honest.
Final thoughts? All right, let's go ahead and go up to the upstate and go to the 4th ranked team according to us and the fans, which is the Greenville Triumph. Alex, they had some really popular players leave, but they have brought in some fantastic replacements for them.
Yeah, Greenville finished 4th, is predicted for 4th this year, 4-4-4. Greenville lost Liam McKinnon, Golden Boot winner, went to Orange County. We all knew that was going to happen. They also lost right midfielder Hayden Anderson, who signed in Richmond, along with defenders, Jamie Smith, Daniel Wu, Nate Schultz, and several other. Christian Garner did he go to Charleston?
Yes,
Goalkeeper.
he did.
Yeah. Brought in basically two of three Chattanooga's top scorers in Rapapa Mensah and Siobhan Marsh, along with, let's see, we've got Zane Bubb from Tampa Bay, Anthony Patty from Lexington, DJ Benton from Knoxville, who was very underutilized there. And then they brought in Michael Gonzalez, a striker from Monterey Bay, as well as some college players.
Cool. Listen, there's a lot of places I want to go with this team. Benton is a guy that I love, UAB guy, so I really got to really appreciate him. But there's a lot of players here. I mean, I'm going to just kind of shout him out real quick because I know he's going to listen to this Park. Coach Ward down in Greenville cannot stop talk how positive he thinks of Chapa Herrera. Like, he's a great player. But, Eamon, the question is how are they going to replace McKinnon? And have they?
I think they've done a good job. Listen, Marsh and Mensah are absolutely two strikers, two forwards who'll get over 10 goals. Like they are 100%. When you look at players, you look at strikers, you look, can we bring in somebody that can get 10 plus goals? Is there any guarantee in that? Like Marsh and Mensah is almost guaranteed. Now, I don't know how much game time and will they mix and match or will they both play, but they certainly can definitely help the loss of McKinnon. I think Leo Castro's one of the best strikers in the league. I think when Greenville don't have Leo Castro playing, I think they're a different team. He is an absolute handful, especially when he's at it. Obviously, look, he's obviously older than a lot of players. So when you get older, sometimes you have an off day, and when he has an off day, all right. But when he's on it, Leo Castro is one of the best strikers in the league. I think he's proved it as well. In terms of the goals to games ratio over the last couple of years. But no, I do think that on the forward line, I think they're loaded. I really do. I think, I agree. I think Chapa Herrera is excellent. I really do. I think Evan Lee, when he played, I remember when he first played in midfield, or when I first saw him play in midfield, I wasn't sure. I was thinking he's centre back going in midfield. I wasn't quite sure, but I think he does an excellent job as that six, just covering. For the other players as well that want to go forward. Really like the Benton signing. So for me, looking at this team, and they always bring in a college player, just like Sikowski. They always bring in a college player that just produces. I think just down towards Carolina, they just produce college players in those universities down there. So I'm sure there's going to be a couple of names that step up, but I think Greenville have gotten stronger. I do think, I think Jamie Smith for me was their best defender last year. I really liked them. I think that's a big miss for them. And I actually really like Schultz. I thought he was an excellent right back. I really did. But I think all around, I think that's a stronger squad than they had last year. So I definitely think, I don't know what I had them at. I think I had them at fifth. But fourth, fifth, I can see it. I think they're stronger than they were last year, to be honest.
Who has some thoughts they want to follow up on? John, Alex?
I'm looking for a breakout year from Ben Zakowski. I think this is going to be his breakout year. He as just a rookie last year and had so many minutes, and look out for that one. Along with Rodrigo Robes and Pascal Corvino, I think it's time for them to step up and take on the next generation of this team.
The staff there is really high on Corvino as well. The flexibility he has, they kind of used him as this like tucked in right winger quite often late in the season last year. And it took him 20 games to really get into the rotation, but he was solid when he did. There's also some hype about Agakua in the back line. He's the college kid, I want to say, from Clemson, can play as the six or a center back. Furman, okay, close enough. Well, he's barely moving then, but yeah, he seems like somebody who's going to be getting some minutes for them.
Any final thoughts on this Triumph team?
They're gonna,
right.
they're gonna compete like they always do.
Always. All right. We have them as fifth, but the fans have them as second. I might suspect of a little bit of Madison home cooking. We do have Ford Madison, who looks great on paper, but they have lost a lot, Alex. Who have they gained? Who have they lost?
So, significant departures. Christian Chaney, that his reputation precedes him, along with Stephen Payne, Wolfgang Prentice, Jimmy Villalobos are the big names that they lost. Incoming, they got Jackson Dietrich. They got Jose Carrera Garcia and Nico Brown, as well as Wallace Lapsley as an excellent backup for Burn Shipman.
Eamon, I am struggling here to see what the attacking plan is, because I still see the spine here of a good defense. But losing Chaney, he was the completing part of the picture. He was the final piece of the puzzle for me. And I don't think they have filled that. Am I wrong?
My opinion, Kaylor, is I would disagree, right? So I have a couple of things when I look at that. Obviously, look, they've lost a couple of players. I do think all the players that they've lost, I feel you would think with the players that they have are replaceable. Most people would look at Chaney and say, they haven't replaced them. Now, my opinion is, and this is just my opinion as obviously a coach coaching against them, they're a better team without Chaney. I think there's more chemistry. Chaney's an excellent player. He's a handful. But I just always felt that he was, he got annoyed, frustrated at times, and as a coach, that would obviously frustrate me if that was the case. He's a little bit of a wild card. He is a little, he does have that big personality. I just think, and I remember looking at them again, analysing them with and without Chaney. I always felt there was better cohesion without him. Now, my opinion is, looking at this team, now they brought in Graf, and I don't really know much about him, but looking at this team, Galindrez with Chaney, and I always wondered last year how that was going to work, and they ended up putting Galindrez on the left. It was like him on the left, Boyce on the right, and then Chaney up top. If Galindrez played, I think they're going to move back. If I was Matt, I'd move Galindrez back into that central role, and I think if he's in that central role, I think he'll absolutely score as many goals as Chaney. I actually think Galindrez is a better finisher than Chaney. I don't know, maybe the stats back it up. I'm not quite sure from Galindrez days at Chattanooga, but I think put him on up top. Obviously, Boyce is an excellent addition last year. He was excellent for them. He'll fit in on the right, and now you have Gebhardt, who again can score plenty, can do damage. Garrett McLaughlin, who obviously came in halfway during the year last year, and it's tough when you go into a team halfway during a season. It can be tough, especially when he didn't get a run of games. It was always Chaney playing if he was fit, and then maybe McLaughlin would fit in here and there, playing the left, playing the right. I do think with a full preseason, I think maybe Garrett McLaughlin could be the player that he is, and he was at North Carolina in USL League One for years. And again, he can score over 10 goals easy as well. So I look at this team. For me, I don't see any weaknesses. I think they've gotten stronger. You said maybe they've gotten weaker. I think they've gotten stronger. I think Sosa is a stronger right wing back, in my opinion, defensively, and for me, they need it at times with the way they play. But I think he's a stronger right wing back than Payne. Payne's better going forward, but Sosa's better defensively. Nico Brown, great signing to fit on the left. They have the consistency of obviously that back line. And then I think for me, when we coached against them and played against them last year, I always felt, look, they have good midfield players. Murphy and Matthias, good midfield players, but I actually think they've gone out and again, Jackson Dietrich, obviously I had him. I think he's one of the best number 6s holding midfielders in the league. He can also play that 8 role as well. I think Carrera is a fantastic signing. I think they've gotten stronger in the middle. And for me, they were weakest. If you had to pick a fault with them last year, I would have said, and they were strong everywhere, but if you had to pick an area, I would have looked at their midfield and said, you know what, you can get the better of their midfield. And I thought we did get the better of their midfield last year when we played against them. But I think with the 2 additions of Jackson Dietrich and Carrera, I think they've gotten a lot stronger there. And then they just have the consistency. They went from 2023, where I think they were maybe 6th, to 2024, where they finished 3rd. Potentially going into the last couple of games, they could have pipped Omaha. I think the consistency is key in this league, and I think with Matt again, excellent coach, players knowing what he wants, what they're about. I see them potentially winning this season. I do. I have them number 1. I just think with the consistency, the players they've brought in, I don't see weaknesses. That's my opinion. I think they've gotten stronger actually, or at least the same, where other teams have gotten weaker. Like, maybe in Omaha, maybe slightly weaker. I think Madison at least will be the same as last year, and I think that will be good enough to win it.
Alex, do you have any thoughts you want to add on to this?
Yeah, they came too close last year not to throw everything they have at it this year. I've also have them in top 3.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit closer to 5th. I like Nico Brown. I like Faraday Sosa. I just have a slight question about the balance there. Certainly the midfield is a huge improvement. I'm thinking about a number of games where it was just too easy to get between the lines, too easy to find touches in zone 14 and really bear down on that back line. Whether it's Dietrich, Carrera, Garcia, Murphy, I don't know how Matt Glazer is going to rotate those players, but that is as good of a 3-man unit that you could pair up in the pivot in any way you want as there is in League One. And I agree with the forward balance as well. So much talent. The fact that McLaughlin isn't even a guaranteed starter really speaks to the depth that they've got. Madison is going to be a member of what I'm kind of thinking of as a top 5 right now. What the ceiling is, we'll see, but this team is very good.
John, obviously I have them at number 1, you have them at 5th. I guess my one question, where do you, if you had to pick one position, right? What position is weaker than last year, let's say? In your, what do you think?
It is the wingback spots, the Sosa and Brown versus Sosa and Payne. I'm not huge on Nico Brown. I've seen some potential from him. I don't know if it's consistent enough. Obviously a great player on his day, but there's just a seed of doubt for me there.
Yeah. No, I think I'm not going to disagree. I think Sosa played for them as fullback. He's a better right wing back, more natural than left wing back where they fit him if Payne was playing. So I think they've, he's definitely stronger, the same in that side. Yeah, I do. Look, I'm not going to disagree. I mean, they have played Derek Gebhardt in that left wing back spot at times as well. But yeah, you would look at Nico Brown thinking excellent going forward defensively, but I still think they're, I mean, even if you say that one side is weaker, I still think they're
No, I'm absolutely picking nits in a team that is near flawless from top to bottom. So I mean, if that's the way it goes wrong for them, you accept it because it's a minor fault at the end of the day, if even.
I also want to throw out here that when we got all these Google forms, that the top 5 was exactly the same. Everybody had the same top 5, but almost nobody had the same order of the top 5. So there seems to be a consensus 1 through 5, maybe someone else in the top 5 along the way. But except for one team, Everybody was the same. We'll get to that one team very, very soon, of course. Anybody, any final thoughts on the Ford Madison? Okay, here is that team. One Knox. This is the team that beat out another team that was talked about in this top 5, where they had an amazing defense, but they had a bit of an interesting season with coaches and all that kind of jazz. This is a team that has stayed the same, if not got better. Alex, who they gain, who they lose?
Yeah, there weren't too many big surprises on who they lost. Kingsford Ajay, Rich Ballard, DJ Benton, Castro, Jalen Chrysler was probably the biggest one. Charlie Matchell, Innocent Natushi, Sean O'Hearn, Frank Ross, and Jessen Vander Bloegem. They've only brought in a few new players here. Babacar Diné, Kamarni Smith, and the offense. And the obvious question is, are they the answers to the offensive problems, bringing them in alongside Kempis Tequila and Zara Costas? I have questions there.
Eamon, let's just go straight to you with those questions. Did they fix their attacking problem?
Yeah, I think they did. So look, Tequila was obviously excellent for them last year. Look, I can speak on Mark Doyle. I tried to sign him. I tried to sign him in the start of 2023. Actually, no, sorry, the start of 2022, I tried to sign him. And then I actually thought I had a contract agreed with him in 2024. And then he told me that Rhode Island kind of came in from nowhere and took him. Look, he didn't have a great time in Rhode Island. There's no, you look at the stats. He didn't really. I know he went in. He wasn't fit. He was carrying an injury. Then he was kind of playing second fiddle behind some really strong attacking talent in Rhode Island. But I know what Mark Doyle can do. I don't know where he's going to play. I don't know what formation Ian Fuller's going to play. Obviously, their new coach who came in. But Mark Doyle, for me, is you play him on the left or right side of a front three. He can play down the center as well. He can play in a front two, but he's 100%. I was convinced trying to sign him that he was going to get 15 to 20 goals. Convinced, because I know what he can do. I've seen him. I watch the League of Ireland back home in Ireland all the time. They're on Fridays, so I get to watch them all. I did last year and the year before, and I continue to do it. But no, I think Mark Doyle's an excellent signing. He's one of, for me, I would have, if Northern Colorado Hailstorm, I would have signed him 100% this season if I could have. So no, I think with him and Tequila, I think there's goals there. I don't know. For me, the big question mark is obviously Ian Fuller, who I know actually quite well. But how is he going to be coming into USL League One? Look, he's been in the MLS for 8-9 years. Before that, USL Championship. Mm-hmm. USL League One, again, I keep saying it's unique, it's different, and it's not just as straightforward as coming in from an MLS system where you're now resources are completely different. So I would have question marks over how is he going to how will he do? I'm going to assume he's going to do well because I actually have them higher than sixth in my kind of rankings. But no, I think, again, for me, the big word, and I think people kind of overlook it, is consistency. And that's why I had Madison at number one. I just think there's the consistency there in Knoxville throughout the team. And I think that will take them to a higher ranking. I think they'll do really well this year. I really do. My only question mark again is the coach, his system, his tactics adapting to USL League One. Not that he's I know he's an excellent coach, but coming into USL League One and not knowing anything about it, how will he do? That's the only question mark I have in Knoxville, but I think they're really strong.
Alex, any thoughts?
How did you break their defense last year? You had a 5-1 victory, their biggest loss.
So, transitions. Again, they were a team that, again, it's funny. Glad you asked me that, because it's funny. We played against them. We obviously analysed them, and yes, they were strong at the back, but they like to possess. They like to play through the thirds. They didn't have any pace up front last year. There was nobody that was going to threaten him behind. So they always wanted to play true. And they'd be playing through, like, Skelton would have the ball on the halfway line trying to play through. And we knew that once we pinched that ball, Bruno Rendon, Ethan Horde, we absolutely destroyed them in transitions. So we took advantage in Knoxville a lot in transitions. I thought they were really weak last year in transitions. Once they got into their shape, and when they came to play against us after that 5-1 game, they completely changed their tactics. They dropped into this low block. Now, we eventually broke them down at home, and we beat them. I think the following game we beat them was 2-1, I think, at home. And then I remember going to Knoxville for the last of the series, and I had all, how we were going to set up, how we were going to play, and they shocked me. They just let us have the ball. They didn't press. They dropped off. And that shocked me, because usually at home they want to dictate and possess. And we huffed and puffed, just couldn't break them down, and they beat us. So transitions, Alex, they were when they came out of their shell, out of their block, they were poor in transitions. They didn't have much pace. So again, that would be something, looking at that team. How are they going to play? Are they going to have the same issue? Because if I was playing against them, I'd be looking at Richie, great going forward. Thomas on the other side, but again, transitions there are susceptible.
John?
Yeah, I mean, you think about the pace thing. I wonder if it won't end up being like a 4-2-3-1. You get Kamarni Smith on the wing. There's a guy who, as much as he couldn't score for his life in Spokane, he's got the speed out wide. I think some of the fullbacks are interesting if you use them in a system that's a little bit more open. I think, it was a difficult coaching situation for sure, especially in the back half of the year for Knoxville. But you look at the talent, you think about Doyle, you think about Abel Caputo coming in. There's a lot to work with here to push this team up the table. So excited to see how they look at a bare minimum.
Any final thoughts on this team?
No, I was just going to say to that point, yeah, I don't think this is going to be their shape. I think they're going to change their shape,
yeah.
And that might a complete kind of, I talk about consistency, but it might be just a complete kind of different outlook in terms of how they play, and then again, how will the players adapt to that new coach and his philosophy. So question marks there, but I do think they're strong on paper for sure, and I do think they have the consistency of the players together that know each other. So again, for me, yeah, absolutely top 6 finish.
All right, next team, where the fans hate them, but I kind of love them. Our 7th ranked team is South Georgia Tormenta. They have changed a lot, Alex, who they've lost, who they brought in.
For the sake of time, we'll just say they lost everyone but 6 players. They lost some good ones who have, a lot of them have re-signed elsewhere, but yeah, it's just a very long list of departures. But let's talk about who they brought in, namely Austin Pack, probably the biggest splash of goalkeeper signings that we've seen in the league. They have Gabriel Alves from Rhode Island. They brought in Prepolita from Chattanooga FC. They brought in Taylor Gray from Chattanooga FC. Brought in Perez from Chattanooga FC, and then brought back Gabriel Cabral. That's probably the most significant ones, unless anybody has any other ones to add.
I want to just go ahead and get it out there. Yannick Bazzini, who they announced today, he is my
I forgot about him.
He's my sneaky Golden Boot winner. I think he is a real deal talent.
I think you're underrating Vivas, but sure. I mean, Bazzini's good, but
Vivas is great. He's great too, but I am all the Bazzini stock. I'm buying it, just 100% of it. So there is a lot to go through. We talked about it. They lost a lot of players, but it brought in a lot of great players. What can you make of this team? Because there's not a lot of continuity.
No, there's not, and that's not a good thing. I don't know. I mean, some of the signings I really like. I really do. I think, look, Austin Pack. I mean, he's the last couple of years absolutely one of the best goalkeepers in USL League One. So I think they absolutely strengthened in that position. And I think maybe they had a couple of issues over the last season or two in that position. I do think that's, to bring in somebody of his quality, and he's a leader as well. I think that's massive for them. I think Cabral, again, a great signing. I mean, he was, the second half of 2022, he was absolutely excellent. One of the best midfielders in the league, and then obviously went to Miami USL Championship. I think that's a massive signing as well. So I'm not sure. I mean, I know they played a preseason game recently and got torn to pieces by Charleston. I had a couple of people at the game, and we were talking about the game, and they said they were not good. And some of the tactical, when you looked at them last year, some of the things that they had, the issues that they had, the weaknesses that they had, the way they set out were still evident from what he saw. And this is somebody that I know, I trust, and knows the game. So that would kind of, make me think, how are they going to be this year? Again, you look at some of the signings, I don't know. I mean, look at the back two, the centre backs that you have there. I don't know what to make of them. I don't know how they're going to be. The left back position, I don't know how Alves, Perez, I'm not quite sure how that's going to be. So I'm looking at that back line, the back kind of unit, and bar Austin Pack, I'm looking at it. I mean, Stretch was, he was decent for them as well last year, but I don't know how they're going to be. They do like to play, they like to possess. They've always been susceptible transitions when they do play and possess and try to build. They jump loads of numbers forward in attack and leave themselves exposed at the back. Those issues that they had, I don't know if and how they're going to fix that. So I don't know. I don't know how they're going to be this year. But yeah. I don't know. I don't have them making the playoffs. If I'm that's just again, and we're all obviously having a guess at this. I don't have them making playoffs.
Yeah, this is one of the teams that ever since their championship year, they have been kind of overrated a lot. Like, we kind of saw what they did their championship year, and we thought of them just as this superstar organization, but they haven't done it since. Alex, what do you make of this team?
Cautiously optimistic. Yeah. I mean, like you said, they were able to do it in 2022. Ian Cameron, he hasn't been able. They haven't been able to do it the last 2 years, but he's been known to work that magic and throw together a roster of a bunch of newer players and pull together a successful team. So, wait and see, but cautiously optimistic.
John?
There's a lot of what ifs. Like, you look at someone like a Handwall Labuana, when he's fit, he's an excellent player, can play the 8, can play the 10, very powerful in the midfield, but he can't stay on the field. He never really has been able to at the pro level. I like Kasanzu. He showed some signs in San Diego, but again, somebody who's not really had the pro experience. Can Prepalita, can Taylor Gray come in from Next Pro and make a difference? If all of those answers are yes, I think Tormenta could be a team that pushes for possibly a home playoff game. But we put them 7th. The fans have them 11th for a reason. I like the vision that Ian Cameron has. I don't know if this squad is trustworthy in executing it fully. You're going to need Austin Pack to really perform above his level. And I mean, he's a great keeper for a reason. He's somebody who's important because he can make an average team look that much stronger. You can't rely on that year in and year out. Goalkeepers can vary quite a bit, even if they're some of the best. So I like Tormenta on paper. I'm worried that it might not pan out exactly how they're hoping.
Final thoughts on this team? All right. Let's go ahead and go to the 8th ranked team, which is AV Alta. Alex, again, this is an expansion team, so there are no outs. That would be impressive. So who is your personal starting 11?
My personal starting 11 for AV Alta would be, I've got up front, I butcher his name, Alarabe, Alexis Cerritos, and then flanked by Walmer Martinez and Miguel Ibarra, backed by Jimmy Villalobos and Robledo. Back line of Elijah Martin, Luca Mastrantonio, another one I'm going to butcher, Pelinov, and wingback Pajaro. With I guess I put Carlos Aviles in goal to start.
Eamon, we've already had this expansion team talk. So why is this team rated so much lower than Westchester for us?
Look, Westchester have some big names there. And again, on paper, they're potentially the strongest team in the league. Alta have some impressive names. I think they look good. But do they look as good as Westchester? I don't think so. I also, again, I'm going to go back to the coaching as well. Again, Dave Carton from Westchester knows USL League One. He's learned under one of the best coaches out there in Mike Jeffries. Brian Kleben, he's new to the league. He's not coached in USL before. So how is he going to adapt? What's he going to try and do? Does he understand the league? Because again, I can't stress understanding the league and the teams and the dynamic of it is vitally important, whether it's USL League One or USL Championship. So there's a question mark there. But again, look, for me, the names that stand out that I really like, I'm big on Javier Mariona. I'm big on him. I thought him and Siobhan Brown, for me, were the two standout players for Fuego, and young, still a lot of potential and a lot of growth there. But again, if I was a USL League One coach right now, he was a name that I had jotted down. So I really like him. Cerritos, look, I've tried to sign Cerritos. I've tried to sign him. I tried to take him on loan as well from Huntsville. I think he's, when he's at it, he's really one of the strongest kind of attacking players in USL League One. But Mastrantonio, we talked about at Omaha, who's going to be a big miss for Omaha. Again, knows the league, knows what it takes, knows what it's about. Apollon, who's been in the league as well. Aviez. And then look at the midfield, Villabella. I always mess his name up.
Villalobos.
Yeah, the guys are probably laughing now that I had the last couple of years, because they always tried to get me to pronounce his name. But again, him and Ibarra, again, really strong, know the league inside out. Jerry Destoon, who I had at Colorado in 2022, knows USL League One. So I like the squad. I think it's a good squad. It's a good Robledo as well. I forgot to mention him, but again, USL Championship player. Yeah. So there's guys there that know the league, know USL, knows what it takes. I can see this team gelling together. I think they're going to be good. I do. I have them kind of on like, for me, again, a lot of unknowns. How are they going to come together? Will they come together? How quick will it take for that to happen? How will the coach adapt? Too many question marks, but I do think they're good. I think they're strong, and I do think they, again, I like that. The USL Show ranking 8th, fan ranking 9th. I think, yes, somewhere along that line.
They've got a ridiculous amount of depth looking at this roster, especially on the offensive side. When you have Mariona, when I have Mariona and Eduardo Blancas on the bench, like those are good, solid. That's good, solid depth there.
John?
Yeah, no, I mean, just agreeing with everyone. I think this team is going to be really effective offensively. Like Cerritos in the pocket doing what he wants. Blancas was a player who put up, I think, 96th percentile expected goals in Expro last year, or rather expected assists. But a creative player, somebody who knows how to find the ball, drive at opponents. And if you've got Mariona flanking him, like, watch out for defenses across the league. I think I'm a little bit worried about Elijah Martin. How fit is he after that season? That was something of a lost year in El Paso. But on his day, that's a championship level player. There's too much talent for me to think this team isn't in the playoff race, I think.
Any final thoughts on the Xavier team?
I'm going to say Javier Mariona is my early favorite for young player of the year.
Love that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there, Alex. No, the only thing I'd add is AV Alta, they can make that kind of where they're based. I mean, teams traveling from the to the east over towards the west. Spokane, to be fair, they did have a strong home record. Fuego, not so much. They actually really, really poor record at home, to be honest. One of the worst probably in USL League One history, to be honest. But if Alta can make that home, a massive advantage, play the conditions that they have, they could be really strong at home and really, really tough to beat, which will definitely help them in terms of the standing. So yeah, again, I think if they play that into their advantage, I think they can again really surprise and do really well.
All right, let's go on to our 9th ranked team, which is Portland Hearts of Pine, where this is, again, we talk about how do you build a team out the bat. There's not a lot of USL guys here. Alex, who did they add? Well, I guess who was their 11, I guess.
Yeah, from USL, they added Sean Venberg from Central Valley Fuego and Patrick Langlois from Northern Colorado. That's it. But if I'm going to do a starting 11 here, I'm going to put Ollie Wright. And I guess I'd put Walter Valera up front. Like, this is a tough one because there are no like proven professional strikers that I can see here. Am I wrong there?
No, they've got 3 college kids essentially at the forward spots. Yeah.
Everybody's going to be competing for that. So we don't really know until we see them.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say also Mikey Lopez. He was a USL guy, championship level.
Yes,
but
yes, championship.
Yes. Eamon, I'm just going to go ahead because, Alex, we don't know these names. Eamon, these you've talked about with 2 expansion teams now and, a coach and 1 Knox of do they know the league? No one on this team, besides 3 people, know the league. How much of a learning curve do they have?
Yeah, it's a strange one. So, again, I'll take the coach, Bobby Murphy. He knows the league. I mean, he's with a very successful Omaha team. And obviously then he went to MLS next. So I think for me, and from what I've heard as well from people, that their coach knows exactly what he wants and the identity he wants to bring and how he wants to play. He understands the league and what it takes to be successful in this league. And he has a game model that is going to try and fit that. I've also been told that all these, obviously, you bring in a bunch of, new lads, 24 guys and try to get them to gel together. I believe they have gelled together quite well. And I think their preseason results kind of show that. I know they played a Rhode Island over in Bermuda and the game was 0-0, but from what I'm told and what I believe, really strong performance, and they really bought into what the coach wanted. And then even more impressive to go down to Hartford, maybe not playing the full strength Hartford, but again, beat them 4-0. So impressive result, and that tells me that, and from what I'm told, obviously I still speak to Paddy Langlois, a player that I had, excellent number 6, one of the best 6s in the league. I thought he was the unsung hero last year. Him and Jackson together were excellent, Jackson Dietrich. But I know what he brings. I heard really good things about Poon Angeron. I've heard he's really, really good. So for me, when you bring all those players together, yes, a lot of them don't know USL League One. A lot of them, first time pros. So many question marks in terms of that. But if they buy into what the coach wants and the coach can get that out really early, which I believe he has, and they have a way of playing already, and his game model is based off, from what I'm told, USL League One and being successful in USL League One when he was under Jay Mims at Omaha. I think they're going to do well. I think they'll be all right. I do think again in and around the 8th, 9th playoff spot. I do think they're going to surprise some people. But for me, the big thing is all these names. I'm looking at these names and how many of these names are going to come good in their first year. That's the big question mark. Who's going to stand up and and take kind of USL League One by storm? That's the big question mark for me. I just got to have faith in Bobby Murphy. He knows the league. They did it in Omaha. Take all these unknowns from college, and within a year we all know who they are, and they're performing really well. So I'm going to have faith in him as a coach, what he's doing. I know behind the scenes Portland are doing absolutely amazing things. I think the stadium's going to be rocking. Can they get that to their advantage as well? I think they're going to do well. I think for me, Portland are going to be my big surprise kind of package this year. And I'm eager to see how they do things, because they did not take many USL League One players, and for me it's a risk, but I'm interested to see if it plays off.
Well, Portland, we hope that your stadium is rocking on July 25th, because we will be there doing a live show for your Jaegermeister Cup versus Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Eamon, I don't think you're going to be there, but I hope you do wear your medal and have your shot glass of Jaegermeister as the defending champion somewhere. But make sure July 25th, that stadium is rocking for us. Alex.
Yeah, there's just too many unknowns for me at this time to give them a higher rank than I actually have them ranked a little bit lower than this. But again, this is a chaos league. You never know what's going to happen, and they can use that home crowd to their advantage. That's what we're hearing, is that they're going to sell out most of their games and probably beat Richmond's attendance record.
John?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned the forward line off top. Evan Southern, who's someone who we don't have projected starting there, but put up killer numbers at James Madison. Titus Washington, somebody who's got the classic number 9's profile, good about the body positioning in the final third. As long as at least one of them can come good as a scorer, I'm really bought into Bobby Murphy, not only because of the League One experience, but the way he was able to really integrate a style at St. Louis and Next Pro. This feels like a team that's going to surprise some people, even if you don't recognize the names on the team sheet.
Final thoughts before we go on.
I'm big on Ollie Wright. I think he's going to be good.
Love Ollie Wright. I think he's going to blow some people's minds. I think Ollie Wright is the truth. I really do. All right. Moving on. Do it. To
Richmond.
Alex's team. I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. I think this is the team that could be really challenging for within the playoffs. I think that this team has some massive potential. Who did they gain, and unfortunately, who did they lose, Alex?
Well, we've already talked about Neil Vigneault on to Spokane. Let's see, we lost Justin Sukow, Ryan Sierakowski, Tony Panetta, Zaka Moran, Joao Gomiro, Chris Cole, Arthur Bashwa, and goalkeeper Ryan Shello. Brought in Nisa Golden Boot winner Darwin Espinal. Brought in this German guy named Niels Seufert, who has actual minutes in the Bundesliga and Bundesliga 2. But we got him from the Finnish 3rd division. So there's a lot of questions there that are still unanswered. Got Hayden Anderson from Greenville. He had a kind of a breakout season last year. down there, and kind of, I guess, fell off the depth chart, so became a free agent. I think that's going to be their loss. We brought in Melvin Pierre-Louis from FC Motown. Matt Bolduc returns after missing last year and winning the championship with in Nice the year before, as well as Jonathan Kanagwa, a local kid who went to VCU, a midfielder.
Eamon, this is a team I mentioned that I think can really make a real push. This is a team that seemed to figure it out when they put Sneddon in goal. Local guy. It seemed like they kind of shored up the goal position there. Then you look at this front line of O'Dwyer. You got Bill Hart. You got Espinal. And then you got Terzaghi. Terzaghi's name speak for himself. Am I completely crazy here, or is this front four enough to will them into the playoffs alone?
I mean, I feel like I'm at times opposite of you, Kaylor. I'm not sure. Like, I'm looking at it again, and Alex, I'd love to get your opinion on it as well. Obviously, you know them inside out, but when I'm looking at that and I don't see them being stronger than last year, I don't know where I can point and say, got stronger there. I don't. I think look, Espinal is he was excellent in Nice, I think it was, over last year or so. One of the best players there. Look, he's a solid addition. Is he better than Vinyals? I'm not sure. Terzaghi, again, how is his preseason going to go and his injuries? Is he going to be the Terzaghi of a few years ago where, listen, he's absolute goal poacher, 100% up there for Golden Boot? Or, you know, is he a year older, and is he going to be, you know, the production of last year, which obviously he missed a lot through injury. So again, that's the question mark there with him. Obviously, if he's flying, he's absolute a Golden Boot contender. But I just don't know. Again, Alex, I'd love to get your opinion on. For me, I don't see them being stronger than last year. I do think Sneddon's excellent, actually. I'll just add that in. I really thought he was excellent towards the end of last season, but I don't see them a lot of same names as last year. So why would they do better than how they performed last year?
I'm kind of starting at the same mindset. I have them at 9th, 10th. You know, I do think that maybe there's a slight improvement, but we don't quite know yet. But at best, it's an even. You know, it's even, and we saw how, you know, the team performed last year. Kind of just like snuck into the playoffs after a season that didn't really go that well. And I think when I spoke to you, Eamon, about this, is about similar to Knoxville. Like you told me that you could absolutely beat them on the transition, the possession ball.
Yeah. I look, Darren again. We're talking about somebody who's coached in the league for years. He knows what it's about. Excellent coach. I do, again, and Alex, again, I'd love to know the opinion in the background with the fans back there in Richmond, because look, when I came into the league in 2022 as the head coach of Northern Colorado, Richmond were, you know, coming off being winning the regular season in 2021. Excellent, hard to beat. And they've always been really tough to beat, hard to beat. And then they obviously had strikers. They gave up possession. They didn't mind not having possession. But then they always had strikers. Somebody like Terzaghi, Vinyals, Bolanos when he was there, that could absolutely score goals for fun. The last couple of years, they've become more of a possession-based team. They like to play around a lot more. And I guess I don't know what their budget is like, but they brought in a lot of young players. They've obviously, look, their academy, from what I hear, excellent, doing really, really well. But it was almost like they were giving over, hey, we want to win, try to challenge, try to make playoffs, we want to produce players, younger players. Can we sell them on? And this is how we're going to play. If we're going to sell on players and we're going to adapt, grow them and develop them, well, then we need to, instead of maybe hunkering in and kicking the ball long or being hard to beat, we need to play a little bit more. We need to showcase their talents. We need to possess a little bit more. And results suffered when they changed the tactics. But again, I don't know, what are they trying to do? What is they used to be a team that wanted to try and compete and challenge. I don't know what they're doing anymore. I know that they're building a really top academy and producing younger players, but is that at the expense of actually trying to be successful on the pitch in terms of results?
I think it's a sustainability. It's trying to set an example of sustainability with the rest of the league, because eventually a lot of the teams are going to realize that they're losing money shelling out for all of these veterans. So I think it's a path forward. And yeah, results are going to, we're going to sit in the middle for a little while until the rest of the league either adopts or more investment is put into Richmond. But, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this Richmond team?
So, Alex, Mike, last question to you. So that team, that squad, as you know them better than me, are they stronger than last year?
I've got them at about even, with some question marks here, because I'd like to see Darwin Espinal and Neil Stufert in regular season action before, nothing really like there was nothing mind blowing in preseason. It was a decent preseason, but like I said, there's nothing really stuck out. So I'd like to see the performance in regular season.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. And we're going to try to go through this last few pretty quick, because we are starting to get to these places where there's actual holes in the roster. But I see a spine of this FC Naples team that I love. Obviously, there's no one to lose. So who do they have, Alex?
Yeah, Jake Dengler and Breck Evans and Lalo Delgado are the big veterans, along with Chris Eckenberg, Gustavo Fernandez. Max Glasser came in from Monterey Bay. Jaden Onen from Lexington. He had a Young Player of the Year nomination 2 years ago, but kind of fell out of the depth at Lexington last year. Let's see, who else do we have? I've got O'Connor, Joffrey, and Farron up front. Any thoughts on your differing roster there, John? Oh, is John here?
No,
Dropped off.
John's internet died on him. Eamon, I'm just going to, when I look at this spine, right, I'm looking at a Heckenberg, Dengler, and Delgado. I'm straight up the middle. Heckenberg, not really himself at Fuego. Take that as you will. But if he returns to the Tormenta version of Heckenberg plus Dengler plus Lalo, is that enough to push them to a playoff spot, or is there just too many holes and question marks surrounding them?
Yeah, I have too many question marks. I do think, look, Lalo Delgado, absolutely excellent. Again, I was hoping he would make that jump to the USL Championship, because I think he's that quality. I think Lalo, Breck Evans alongside Dengler know the league. They know what it takes. Breck, excellent centre half, left-sided centre half, one of the best in the league. And then obviously Heckenberg. I think they're going to have absolutely massive seasons. Massive seasons. Those four in particular are really going to have to stand up and really be playing on top of their game. Because when I look elsewhere, all right, Ian Serow, yeah, he was, USL Championship with RGV. Onan kind of just hasn't found a home. And then again, for me as a coach, I look at their coach, Matt Poland, coming in. And when you're a brand new coach coming into USL League One, and it's his first professional, gig as a head coach, there's a question mark there. And it's on you then to break that question mark one way or the other, and show everybody what you're about. So for me, there's that question mark as well. How is he going to adapt to USL League One and the league? But I just see too many unknowns there for me. Again, everybody's different. If I'm a coach of a brand new USL League One franchise, I'm kind of going along more the budgets aside. Obviously, I'm going to go more along the Westchester and going who's been there and done it in USL League One, who knows what it takes, and I'm going to go out and get a handful of those players. Again, Delgado, Evans, Breck, and obviously Dengler and Heckenberg. Bar them 4 players there. I don't think there's enough. I don't. I think there's too many question marks and too many holes there.
Alex?
Yeah, I'll say for Naples, a lot of the players that have gone there have said it's been a wonderful change of scenery. They love it. They're practicing on the beach. They all seem very happy, for whatever that's worth. But yeah, there are a lot of questions here. No real proven strikers. A lot of different backgrounds. Multiple fix it type players, which could make for good comeback stories. But yeah, I don't at this time. I don't see this team being a playoff contender.
Before we move on, Eamon, I do have a question, and it's about Onan on the left side. He came in hot and just hasn't refound that, was it runner-up, young player of the year. Is there something on the pitch that you see that could really just change and fix his game?
No, Onan's a talented player. Funny enough, I keep saying I talked to him over a Zoom call and very close to signing him in 2023, and then he ended up going to Madison. Very close to signing him, I was. I think he's a player that plays on the edge. He has that kind of something about him where yes, he can turn it on, but can play a little bit loose at times. So he's going to have a massive season for Naples, I feel, if they're going to be successful. But again, a question mark on him, because you're right. He was at times in Madison, he was really, really good. But then Lexington, it just didn't work out. So how is he going to approach Naples? I think if he's going to be successful, he's going to have to change his mentality and approach it in a different manner if he really wants to have a successful season.
Any final thoughts on this team? All right. Let's go to the Charlotte Independents, where they got a little bit of the Chattanooga Red Wolves treatment, and everybody took their best players. Alex, who'd they lose? And
they lost some big ones. They lost Miguel Ibarra, Joel Johnson, Tresor Mbuyu. I'm hearing Gabriel Oberton is not coming back. JC Obregon, Austin Pack. I mean, they got decimated in the offseason. They did bring in John Beccaro from Championship, as well as Rafael Hagagui, for a 21-year-old who has 5 years of professional experience with Sacramento. And they brought in Michael DeShields from Hartford to play center back. The one thing about Charlotte is that I think last year they waited till the absolute last minute to start announcing some big names. I think Obregon wasn't even brought in until like 3 days before the season started. So, they might have something up their sleeve for the rest of this week. Who knows? But, for now, I think it's fair to, have them ranked down here.
Yeah, Eamon, we are looking at this team, and I have the wrong team on this graphic. I'm going to fix that in a minute. I accidentally put one Knox on the screen, so I will fix that in a minute. But when you're looking at a team that has lost as much talent as they have and has seemingly not replaced it, what do you make of that?
I actually think of all the rankings, this is probably the most disrespectful one, probably to Charlotte. I think, I think 12th and 10th. No, they're going to be 100% higher than that. And for me, it stems from the coach, right? Their coach, Mike Jeffries, is absolutely a playoff coach. He's listen, he knew what it took to be successful in the USL Championship off a relatively smaller budget than most teams. And look, he's come into USL League One, and obviously over the last couple of years made playoffs and had success there. Look, Mike Jeffries, he's one of those that just figures it out. He's like a magician. I remember when they first came in 2023, they were so poor to start the season, and then before you know it, they signed a couple of players and they just came together. I think we're going to see the exact same with Charlotte. They always leave it late to bring in players. Sometimes they wait until in the season. And I mean, I'm an example. I played for Mike Jeffries. I played for Charlotte in 2018. I didn't sign for them until April. The season had already started. You know, their budget is okay, but I know it's not, you know, I guess maybe one of the top teams. And I think because of that, they do wait. Mike knows what's about in terms of recruitment. So Mike likes to wait until maybe that last minute until, you know, he finds that gem that hasn't signed for anybody like an Obregon. So I can easily see a couple of signings coming in. But with what they have, I think is absolutely solid and good enough to definitely, you know, be in the playoffs. I think the announcement of Luis Alvarez, I know he was meant to go to Spain. The deal must have fell through. Listen, I had USL Championship coaches call me and ask me about Luis Alvarez. You know, coaches that I'm very, you know, friendly with in USL Championship. And his name was cropping up all the time. He is absolutely, he was, you know, the best young player in the league last year. I think he's going to be even better this year with another season under his belt. I think they're strong in the midfield. Omar Cease, India, Sorensen and Enga, who were there last year. Spielman, who's been there. Dimmick, who's been there. You know, Levy or Levi, how you pronounce his name, stepped up towards the end of the season. Did really, really well in goals. No, that's a playoff team. Now, how strong they are, I don't know. It will probably depend on if they do make one or two signings, whether it's now, whether it's in the middle of the season. But no, that's a playoff team. And 100%, their coach 100% will get them into the playoffs. He'll just do it. He knows exactly how to do it, how it's done. Yeah, I think we're being harsh on Charlotte. Yes, they're weaker, but they're still a playoff team.
Yeah, I do like that they're getting a lot younger. They're especially in the midfield there. I think that's going to work to their advantage. Some of their veterans last year suffered through a lot of injuries. So I think that's a good thing. And yeah, Luis Alvarez is by far, he's definitely one of the better wingers, midfielders in the league. We'll see if he lasts the whole season, because I'm sure he's still on the market.
If you're a person who's watching and listening to this, if you haven't sat down and watched Omar Cease, you need to. He is almost always my favorite player to watch on the pitch. He just does everything so fundamentally well. He's not overly flashy, but he just looks so good fundamentally. He's a player I love to watch.
Yeah, he's excellent. He's definitely one of, again, top sixes in the league for sure, 100%. And just sorry, last on that Alex's point, you're right. They did go younger, and they went younger for. I mean, they're trying to change the dynamic of the club. They're trying to get younger, talented players in, develop them, maybe sell them on. So they are changing that philosophy. And I do. Yeah, the question mark is changing that philosophy, just like Richmond did. How does that play out? You know, over the next couple of years. But I do think right now they have enough in there to be a playoff team.
Yeah, and they also have one of the biggest academy systems in the country.
Yeah. Final thoughts on this team? Nope. All right. Texoma. This is a team that is also leaving it late to fill out just a right back. They are running out of time. I'm sure they have someone, but they haven't announced it, so we can only do what we can do. That is announced. Alex?
Yeah, Diego Pepe was their biggest signing today, on loan from FC Dallas. That is Ricardo Pepe's brother. I see you have him at the starting striker already. So I honestly don't know much about him. Tried to find some highlights on him today, and all I came up was his brother. So he's
So yeah.
But yeah, I like the signing of Ajmer Spengler. He had a kind of a standout year with Tormenta last year, along with Jordan Chavez and Preston Kilween and Jorge Corrales on the back line. Right back is an empty spot right now. I think they only have 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 players. So they have about 5, 6 more signings to go this week. So we'll see who they fill in. But another late blooming expansion team with a lot of questions.
This is a team that you see names that you like, and I'm not just talking about Pepe. You're talking about a Solomon Asante. You're talking about a Spengler. You're talking about a Corrales. He's listed as the backup, but I really like McCready as their goalkeeper. I don't think he's going to get started, but I really just like him a lot. Eamon, you're someone who had to deal with Jaegermeister and US Open Cup and the regular USL League One schedule. I'm sure, I am so positive they're going to have a right back, or at the very least fake a 3-man back line because Corrales can play a wide center back position.
Yeah.
But do they have enough to even make it through the amount of fixtures they're going to play?
You can only assume they're going to announce, a good few more players, unless they try to, take younger players in. I really, if I'm being honest, Texon will be the team that I'd worry about most. I really don't know what their kind of plan direction was. They obviously hired Adrian Forbes as sporting director. He was charged with going out and getting a coach, and I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but next thing you know, he's the coach. Again, great background, terrific background, resume, but coming over to the US, first time coming over to the US, doesn't know the system, doesn't know USL. It's completely different in England and Luton and the academy and new systems there and then USL in America. So that's again massive question mark. Took an age to announce a player. When they did announce a player, it was a goalkeeper who may or may not start for them. It's been strange looking in from the outside at how they're trying to build this team and build their roster. The league is starting this week, and we're like, where's the rest of your squad? So, really like Asante. We talk about him playing and what a career he's had, USL Championship, but also a leader, knows how it's done. Spengler, I like that signing. Diego Pepe, I know a little bit about Diego Pepe. He's not a goal scorer. He's people obviously think, Diego Pepe, Ricardo Pepe, he's an absolute monster in front of goal, which means you must be a goal scorer. I think he's more of an attacking player, attacking midfielder. I don't think he's a goal scorer. I think his stats from North Texas kind of back that up. I think he got 2 goals in 20 odd games. So Donald Benemna, I had him at Northern Colorado Hailstorm. Listen, he retired at the end of the year and now he's back again. Again, mentally, I don't know where he's at there in terms of playing. So I have too many question marks about this team, and I really don't know what direction. And it might sound harsh, and they're all going to prove us wrong. But you look at the other new franchises that have come in. Westchester, all right, we know what you're doing there. AV Alta gone out, signed some really good players as well, strong players. Portland, I have every confidence in their coach, knows the league, being around the league. I just don't know what Texoma, how they're going to get on. I do worry about them. Out of all the teams coming into the league, I would look at this team, this squad, just how they've gone about their business in the off-season, how they went about their business in terms of hiring a coach. I'd look at all that and go, I don't know what you're doing here and what direction you're going, to be honest.
Alex, your thoughts?
Yeah, it does kind of feel like Forbes is underestimating the league with what he's put together. Like maybe there's some few big names to come out the next few days, but yeah, for now it does seem like they're kind of underestimating the talent level in the league.
Any final thoughts before we go on to our final team of the night? It is, as you could probably guess, the Chattanooga Red Wolves, who are returning, if I have kept up correctly, only 3 goals from last year's season. Only 3 goals.
Yep.
This is a team that has been ripped to shreds, and that's kind of the story of Chattanooga Red Wolves. They get a few guys that can score, other teams take them. This was a team that was described by a USL coach who will remain unnamed as a team who could be more of a Daichi ball smash and grab kind of team, and that's what you can expect from them all year long. So what were all the goals that they lost, Alex?
Well, they lost Ropapa Mensah and Siobhan Marsh to Greenville. Mael Malongo went to Monterey Bay. Stefan Lukic went to Tulsa. That covers a vast majority of their goals right there. And then they were backstopped by TJ Bush, who had an outsized number of saves, even for a team that gave up an outsized number of goals. So that's a big loss there. And it looks like they're going to throw Jason Smith, fresh out of Syracuse, right to the Wolves, as we see here. And then it's like this front line really worries me, even though I really like a couple of these players, namely Matt Bentley and Johnny Felipe. Can they carry this team to score more than 20 goals in a season? I have my doubts there. I really am cheering for them to do so, but it's very questionable. I like the defense. Declan Waters put up some very, very good numbers individually last year, even if the team's defense was not that great. And Eric Kinsner, I think he's going to do well in replacement there.
Eamon, this was a unanimous last place. Personally, I would give the team without a right back last place. That's just me. But I mean, this is a team that seems to have lost all of their talent attacking wise and seemingly didn't replace it. Do you find that that quote of Daichi ball of smash and grab to be accurate? Because I kind of like their back line ish. Are they just going to be stingy and just be hard to break down, or is this very deserving of dead last?
Yeah. I do think last year they did play a lot of long balls. A lot of long balls. But last year they had, a long ball to a Mensah, Marsh, maybe fall into the feet of Stefan Lukic. They had some really, really strong attacking players last year. I don't know what's gone on in the background of Chattanooga. Their general manager left recently. Jimmy Weekly, who was in the club as head coach, assistant coach, you name it, operations. He did everything. He also left. They lost a lot of players, big players for them. I can only assume there maybe some budget things going on in the background there. I don't know, to be honest. But I'm looking at that team, and yeah, I would worry for it, to be honest. I think Jonathan Felipe, I thought he was excellent when he first went to Chattanooga. I think coming from Hartford on loan. Excellent. Thought he was, going to have I actually thought he was going to have a standout year last year. Then he got injured. So what's he going to be like after a year out? I mean, it doesn't just, come back like that. Sometimes it takes a few months. So again, what's he going to be like? Matt Bentley, obviously, Alex, him at Richmond. He's an effective player. How many goals is he going to get? I'm not sure. I look at the midfield. I mean, Walefi, listen, I played with him in 2019 at Chattanooga Red Wolves. Shows either how old he is or maybe how young I am. I don't know. But he, excellent player. But again, he's getting on. He's had a lot of injuries. Knapp. I on paper, looking at them, I think they're going to struggle. I actually like Green, but I don't really like their back line. I think they're some of the players that were there last year. I thought they struggled defensively. I really did. Not sure on their goalkeeper there. I just see it. I see Chattanooga struggling. I don't see them. I actually had them, maybe one or two places higher than 14th. But I will say this, the positive that I will say is Scott McKenzie, this is going to be his third season, in Chattanooga in the league. He should know what it's about. Should have tactically kind of tried to figure it out and how can we get results. So that's a positive. And I do think they've had a really positive results-wise preseason.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, I think did they not beat Birmingham in preseason recently? Yeah.
2-1. No real details were given besides it was a 2-1, but yeah, they won seemed pretty handily. Yeah, so that's always, listen, having a positive, strong preseason is big. It can be big anyway. So that's definitely positive for them. But just looking at that team there and what they have, and if they do get one or two injuries to one or two key players there, I think they're going to struggle big time. Alex?
Yeah. I think it's the returning core. They have experience, they have potential, but yeah, this is they're going to have to play like they've got something to prove. And yeah, like you said, Scott McKenzie, I wouldn't put it past him to find some sort of success out of the squad. Maybe not playoffs, but maybe also not wooden spoon.
That's all you can ask for, I guess. Any final thoughts on the Chattanooga Rebels team?
No, but I will say this in terms of your dice ball. I do think that if you're hard to beat in USL League One, I mean, if that's the way you're going to play, hard to beat, hit the ball long, teams make mistakes. You'll eventually get something. And obviously then it's a question of whether you take that chance or not. But you can get really positive results by just being hard to beat, and playing long ball and playing off seconds. So if they do that effectively, and if that is how they're going to play, they might then surprise us and really, I don't know how high they can go, but they might surprise us for sure if that's how they're going to approach things. I just don't know, I guess, how they're going to play, and if they do try to be expansive, they will get eaten to shreds, I think.
Well, one thing that we kind of noticed on the USL show the last couple of years is that the League One teams that really make a run in the US Open Cup are the defensively strong teams. Obviously, the Jaegermeister Cup last year was built for goals. Just score as many goals as you can. That's the tiebreaker. But US Open Cup is how good are you defensively? Can you stay strong for 120 minutes or even just 90 minutes and sneak out a 1-0 win? If that's what they are going to do, I don't think it's going to last for a league season. I don't think that this team can do that. But if they can stay strong and be solid defensively, be tough to break down and get their long ball, you could see a mini run out of the Red Wolves. I don't think that would be the most surprising thing in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with your point. Like if you're gonna, Jaegermeister Cup, USL Cup, and you're playing against teams that are, stronger than you and are in a higher level than you, if you decide to go, well, our attack versus your attack, you're going to lose. They're going to have a stronger attack. Just budgets alone are going to dictate they will have stronger, better players. So you have to be defensively strong and just work on your defensive organization, because you know, in a game of soccer, you're going to get a chance. You just will. So yeah, definitely when you play against those higher ranking teams, higher levels, you have to be defensively strong. So I'm not surprised that it's the defensively strong or more organized teams that do better in the US Open Cup, because if you decide to have a shootout, you are not winning.
Well, we are 2 hours in, and that concludes our League One preview show. But before we let you go, Eamon, we have our final question of the night that we always do. What have you been watching lately? What's been on the TV? Are you like movies, box set? Like, what are we doing?
Okay, well, the boring answer would be I'm watching a lot of soccer. Like, I mean, a lot of soccer. The season started back in Ireland, so I watched that. Obviously, you have Champions League today, English Premiership, MLS, USL is going to be starting. I'll be watching that. So that's the boring answer. I'm trying to think, what have I watched recently? I have like a movie card. I go to the movies once a week. Like, I'm a big like movie goer. Like, I'm big on movies. I'm trying to think if I've actually saw anything of substance recently. No, I don't think I have. No. No, I like game shows. I don't know if any of you guys watch like The Floor on Hulu or no, any Gordon Ramsay shows.
I do like the Gordon Ramsay
shows. I watch all of Gordon Ramsay shows. So kind of that keeps me busy. Yeah.
That tracks.
Eamon, if you don't mind, I know you said you've been watching a little bit of League of Ireland. Can I ask you about a player? I don't know if you've been keeping up. Ethan Coase, he played for Kerry FC last year.
What position was he?
Center back.
Yeah, I watch. So, first division, I don't watch as much. Like, I do watch more, obviously, the Premier Division, and I actually watch the teams that I used to play for.
Sure.
So, no, I know Kerry definitely were stronger last year. They came into the league in the 2023 and not bottom of the table. Last year they were a lot stronger. Do you know what? Is he there now this year?
No, he's already signed with Birmingham. I just didn't know.
I didn't even know. I must have missed that. And I usually get everything, but I must have missed that. A lad from Kerry signed for Birmingham.
Yeah, he was great on trial. He's only a 23-year-old, but he played professionally in Ireland for like 2 years. So, I mean, he looks like he's played professional ball. I can't find any film on the guy in Ireland.
You'll struggle. Highlights and all that kind of stuff you find on the Premier Division teams. It's tough at times to get the First Division teams. I don't know, but yeah, I'm going to keep an eye out and see how we got on, because when Kerry defensively weren't great last year. Now, they were really good. They had a striker who was really, really good, but defensively, now I'm not saying it was not his fault, but they weren't great defensively last year. I know that much.
Gotcha. Alex, what's been on your TV set?
We are watching Apple Cider Vinegar. It's a show on Netflix about a wellness influencer gone wrong.
Interesting.
Very, very dramatic. Jumps around a lot, but it's a pretty fascinating show about getting caught up in fake science and things like that.
Interesting.
And
for us,
some people dying.
Of course, the good stuff.
And what are you watching, Kayla?
Well, that's the funny bit. So right now, my wife has been watching a lot of Fuller House, which is the updated, obviously, Full House, but she never watched Full House. So I'm having to explain Full House to someone watching. It's been a wild ride. Definitely throwing her under the bus, and I'm sure she's going to say something about it later because the door is wide open. So it's fine. But yeah, that's been fun. It's been going through memory lane of watching Full House again has been fun, and seeing someone watch it for the first time is fascinating. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that is just about it. Eamon, thank you so much for hopping on. It's been awesome. It is great to talk to you again. Cannot wait to see you back on the sidelines whenever that may be, because you
And your sweaters.
deserve it. And the sweaters, of course.
Yeah.
In the 100-degree Richmond heat.
Anything for a win. Or I feel I have superstitions. I have to, if I wear something and we win, I have to wear it again. I remember that day getting abused from the
It was so hot that day.
Yeah. I was sweating. Like, I was absolutely I wanted to just rip it off, but I'm like, no, I got to keep it on. I think we ended up winning 2-0, 2-1.
Yep.
So it worked.
Is that the closest you've come to just saying, screw this, I can't take it anymore?
Yeah, it's happened a few times. I did do it once. I wore a sweater we played Omaha. Wasn't last year, the year before, and it was too hot. I had to take it off. We ended up losing the game, so I haven't took off a sweater ever again after that. That was the only time.
It's incredible. Well, look, thank you all for listening. It's been an absolute blast. Again, thank you, Eamon. Thank you, Alex. And go give love to John. His internet died on us. And of course, go check out our sponsor, Equip Studios, if you want cheap quality kits for your whatever, SG, or for your local Sunday League club, whatever you want it to be. Thank you again so much for listening. It was been an absolute blast. And for the first and final time tonight, here's Alan.
Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show.
The USL Show is now proudly part of the Protagonist podcast family. Please go to protagonistsoccer.com to check out more work. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see everyone again next time.